making it safe for staff to speak up, psychological safety in the workplace. When people feel safe, they will tell you things. But if they feel frightened and they feel there's going to be retribution, if they do speak up, if they are the messenger, then people won't say anything.
Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast and YouTube channel. I'm on a mission to help you cut the time to all the things that are holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur. Today I'm joined by Bonnie Low-Kramen. She is a TEDx speaker, and I got to tell you, that's a big deal here in 2024. And she's also an author, and she's a workplace expert. But let's meet Bonnie. Bonnie, how are you?
I am great. How are you doing, Thomas?
I'm good. You want to take a few moments to just introduce yourself, kind of set the stage?
Yeah, thanks. For 25 years, I worked as the personal assistant to an actress, Olympia Dukakis. One of the biggest movies of that year, Moonstruck. And I found myself all of a sudden working for a famous person. My journey in my career has been very unexpected. I never thought that would happen. Never thought we would work with each other for 25 years. That work led to so many other things, also unexpected. Writing 2 books, opening my own training company, Ultimate Assistant Training, traveling to 13 countries, training executive assistants, personal assistants, and the leaders they support. What I found was a surprising set of circumstances in our workplace where there's a lot of disconnect happening between leaders, the staff, HR, and recruiters. And I have found that the through line for my career has been to try to make sense of what is going on and to bring these groups together so that we can make more sense of it together.
Do you have a picture of your book or anything you want to show? And give me the title of the book again.
Be the Ultimate Assistant, a celebrity assistant's secrets to working with any high-powered employer. And so I meant it for the assistants of the world and the leaders they support. And I believe in talking honestly and saying the quiet parts out loud. So there's a chapter in there about gender in the workplace. There's also a chapter about the dark side of assisting, including bullying and sexual harassment and things that have dominated the news over these years. Over time, I realized I needed to write a second book. And that book is this one, Staff Matters. Staff Matters came out in February of 2023. Took 7 years to write it. And the subtitle is People-Focused Solutions for the Ultimate New Workplace. We have to make it about the people, this workplace. And then the subtitle under that, which is super important to me, is Unfiltered Conversations with Staff at Every Level, in their words, walking in their shoes. I interviewed over 1,500 people for the book. Leaders, assistants, HR professionals, recruiters, and business school professors and leadership experts. I did that because I consider each of those groups constituencies of the workplace. They all have a role to play. They all believe that aspects of our workplace are broken. So if that's true, no one of those groups is going to be able to fix it alone. They have to talk to each other. There has to be collaboration and cooperation. And, assistants of the world say to me, Bonnie, my leader is not interested in what I have to say. Or I'm too afraid to speak up. There's far too much fear in the workplace, which is causing leaders to not be receiving complete information.
The point of my thing was that you got an aha moment, in Barnes & Noble to write the first book. What was the moment that said, I'm going to write this book? And then, as someone who's writing a book here in 2024, and I'm in the third round with a publisher, which I feel like a year is taking, or a little less than a year is taking too long. You said 7 years. So tie those two things of aha moment and why the 7 years.
After the first book, I was asked to speak and teach, and I was running around the United States and even being asked to speak over in Europe, English-speaking countries, because I understood that there was a desire for Native American speakers, Native English speakers in the speaking world to talk about the workplace And after the speeches were over, that's when people would come up to me. We would have lunch, we'd have a drink, we'd have just offhand, offstage conversations where the real stories came out. And that's when I had that other aha moment about what is not being said in the workplace. So I learned a great deal, Thomas, about respect and the importance and value of acknowledgement and staff being valued. We painstakingly hire people in the first place. So why are we treating them so badly?
What's one thing you discovered during these interviews you had not known about just the space of how or why staff gets treated the way they are? Like, do you have a complete takeaway? Like, I had no idea that was going on.
Well, in the introduction, I share 2 revelations that informed everything else. When I was invited to London in 2012, I was at the back of a ballroom hearing another speaker ask the audience this question. The audience was over 200 assistants, seasoned assistants, experienced assistants, and she asked them, "How many of you feel well managed?" Thomas, from the back of the room, I'm watching very few hands raise, and those that did raise were kind of like half-hearted, sort of, kind of like that. And I stood there and I thought, what is going on here?
So it's about a year since Staff Matters has come out. What have you learned about your own material in the last year since it's hit the market?
I feel very proud of what I've done with Staff Matters because it's meant to be a catalyst for conversation. There are a lot of leadership books out there. And so my maybe secret wish is I know that leaders may not read this book right away, but the staff will. And staff has been reading this book, and then they're getting them and bringing it to their leaders to say, you know what, I think chapter 4, that one's called Is It Safe? And it's about making it safe for staff to speak up, psychological safety in the workplace. When people feel safe, they will tell you things. But if they feel frightened and they feel there's going to be retribution, if they do speak up, if they are the messenger, then people won't say anything. And that's what that chapter's about. And I think to myself, well, leaders must see the value of making some moves to make it safe for people to speak the truth about what's really going on, because some very expensive decisions are being made.
So we had talked about leaders and what they need to do. Where's the accountability? Because one of the things that drives me sometimes in the staff levels, how you get there, is this false sense of entitlement, this victim card, this everything happens. But where does that line end with, and where does the self-accountability begin?
Yeah. In my workshops that I teach all over, I love it when I have a very broad age range in the room. Oftentimes I do have 20-somethings in the room and 30, 40, 50, 60. And that issue comes up often about the sense of entitlement of those 20 and 30-year-olds. But oftentimes the sense of entitlement is attributed to, Gen X and Z. And when someone is joining a company, what do? They go to the website and they read the careers tab. They read a job description. They have interviews. And my belief is that the leadership of companies need to work very hard to set a clear expectation of their future staffers. And that means articulating what it means to work at the company and being able to outline what's the career path, what's a realistic, reasonable career path. If someone is sitting there feeling entitled, where did that idea come from? How did that happen? That they believe that they're going to be the president of the company after a year. I know that's an exaggeration, but just some inflated idea of where did that happen? And so, Thomas, truly what it says to me is that there's a lack of communication, that there's been a dysfunction in accurate communication between leadership, HR, the written materials on the job description. There should be very good clarity on, if I say yes to this job, what is reasonable over these next few years? And then so chapter 8 is about, it's called Great Expectations. This is a place where I know that we could do much better in the workplace. So many staffers, not only assistants, say to me, Bonnie, the job description I was hired in at bears very little resemblance to the one I'm actually doing. I don't know if that ever happened in your career, Thomas, but it's very common where, companies will issue a job description and then after a matter of months, it all shifts. And it's like, wait a minute, I didn't sign on to do this. And that's a problem, because then that means unmet expectations about the actual job responsibilities. And that goes along with the title, and that goes along with compensation. In my view, there needs to be much more clarity about what it means to work at a company. And I think that will help with the entitlement problem that you're outlining.